You're up, Julie.
Okay, thank you so much, Steve, and welcome everyone. It's wonderful for you to be here, and the session tonight is on nutrition for the now, and that is a title. Well, that was going to be the title from our book, which is actually Food Awakening Nutrition for Now. It couldn't really fit in for the now, and what I'm actually going to cover is actually just the attitudes to foods, and also I'm going to talk about foods itself that you might be ready for, and then at the end you can decide if there's anything yet that you feel inspired to take away. And also, if you've got any questions, I'd love to have time to answer them. So, I'm not here to preach or tell you what you should or you shouldn't be doing. I don't feel that's up to me or anybody to do that. But I'm sure, like myself and many other people, you're confused with so much contradictory advice. There's so many diets, so many philosophies. It's like everyone says, it's low fat, no, it's high fat, no, it's no fat. There's vegan, there's paleo, there's raw, there's ketogenic. There's so many different diets. There's so many different philosophies, and everybody is telling you different. And the more actually you read and you look into, people are actually, saying so much contradictory things that it's like, how do I know what is right? So I'm here to kind of help shine a light on that, and say that actually I believe that on a soul level we're kind of drawn to what we need. So when people talk about this unhealthy and bad foods, I'm going to say that I don't believe anything is bad, and the reason why is because whatever you're drawn to, even if it's so-called bad, I would say it's good, because what it does, it will create either a physical symptom or emotional, and that is something that you need to address. So whether it's a person or a food or anything, or a career or anything in your life that actually triggers something, whether it's a health condition, as I said, or something emotional, anything, that is what needs to be addressed. So I'm going to kind of ask you about any foods that you want alternatives for. But the first thing I would say is, whatever you're eating, the best way to actually find out if something's right for you is to actually eat it consciously, with awareness. And actually, if it's a drink or food, just try and do nothing else, and just actually taste the drink, taste the food. And actually, that, when you do it so consciously, it's like saying to your body, is this what you want? And if it is, that's fine, enjoy it. You will get endorphins and something out of it, that even if it's you think it's an unhealthy food, if you're out with friends and everybody's having say some cake, and you think, oh no, I can't have cake, it's not healthy, and you kind of, this party that really wants that cake, is, I would say, if there's something that you try to deprive yourself of, they say what you resist persists. So you will just get that all the time until you actually eat it. And there was a woman that came to see me once, and she said exactly that. She was out with the daughter. She was thinking, oh gosh, should I have the cake? And she remembered what I told her. She ate the cake, and she said she so enjoyed it, but she didn't have any cravings after that. She didn't want cake for, I don't know, since she spoke to me again. She said, oh, I didn't want the cake anymore. She said, but that particular time. So that's where you can have your cake and eat it. So there are kind of things I'm going to tell you about, because if you are ready, if your soul's ready, I mean, just actually being on this session tonight, or if you're watching it, if it goes on YouTube, if you're watching this video, then there's something within you, something within your soul that is drawing you towards wanting to change something. So you're all definitely here for a reason, and you will find out at the end of the session, you know, what that is, because you will have something that you're thinking, right, that resonates, I'm going to take that on board. I guarantee that. So so has anybody got, I just saw dairy, you want an alternative to dairy, because, you know, there's one thing of trying to, you know, deprive yourself, but it's just finding things that you are going to enjoy, that there's things that you're thinking, yeah, I don't want to eat that anymore, and what can I have instead? I once actually saw in a magazine, it said like swaps, alternatives, for someone said hot chocolate, put hot chocolate, and an alternative was chamomile tea. So I don't think that's you know, an alternative that you'd be like, oh, that sounds great. I would say if it's a hot chocolate alternative, go for, I think, the Rude Health oat milk. I think it's oat milk. It's the chocolate milk. It's no sugar, no sweetener. That would be ideal, because there's no dairy, no sugar in that. So I think that's an ideal swap. So for dairy, if it's a milk, I would go for either Oatly, the oat milk. I've not got any to hand, but I would say go for that. Or there's Rude Health milks. I think those are the healthiest ones. I wouldn't go for soya, because soya is very fatty and difficult to digest as a milk. And the Japanese have it boiled with seaweed, because it binds to iodine and other minerals, and that's the same with all soya products. However, if it's something like a fermented tofu product, it's much easier to digest, and that's like tempeh or natto or miso. Tofu, you can get fermented tofu, but I wouldn't have a lot of these foods, especially if you've got a thyroid issue. And stress depletes iodine, which you need. It's an essential mineral that you need for your energy, for your weight, for your hormones, for your temperature control. So I would say, you know, go for different proteins. Now, for vegan, if you do decide you want more vegan proteins, because if you do eat animal foods, the healthiest of the animal foods are obviously organic and free range, especially chicken. So if you're going to have chicken, I would recommend organic, free range from a reputable supplier. Grass-fed meat, kind of wild fish, maybe wild salmon instead of farm salmon, and I'm just reading something about soya. There's soya, as I say, fermented soya. It can be okay for some people, but I don't tend to recommend it kind of for many people, you know, once in a while. And one thing I'm not very keen on, and I wouldn't recommend at all, is something like corn, because it's a mold and it's been heavily processed, and any of the food that is processed vegan, because it's not real food. And it's the same with, you know, with the free from, like the gluten-free and dairy-free. If you find it in some supermarkets and it's got a list of loads of ingredients, you know, that's not ideal. But for me personally, you know, I got into nutrition, well, my son's 25 next month, and in fact, since I was 11, I kind of got into nutrition and health in a way, because I remember doing a talk on vitamins and minerals when I was 11, and so I was obviously had an interest. But I used to eat all sorts of things, you know. I didn't eat a healthy diet, and then when my son was born, I was getting into it a little bit, but he had severe eczema and allergies. And I thought, oh my goodness, what, you know, can I do to help him? Because it was very, very distressing. And at first, you know, I went to the doctors and got, you know, cortisol, the creams, you know, antibiotics, things like that. And then it just didn't feel right. So I read in a magazine, I don't know if you remember, it's a long time ago, Here's Health magazine, it said that nutritional therapy can help with eczema and allergies. It was covered from head to foot in eczema and had severe allergies, almost like anaphylactic type for dairy, which I found out. So just before that, actually, sugar was something that I felt intuitively that it was draining my energy, so I went to less refined sugar. Then when Dad, my son, he had severe eczema and allergies to the dairy, I thought I better not have it, because you know, it would it was just into everything. So I stopped having dairy, and I found that my digestion improved, kind of anything, chestiness, colds, mucousy, anything, my hair, my skin, everything improved. And then I read about wheat. I used to read about wheat and that it could feel tired and bloated. And I thought, no way, I have it for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for snacks, you name it, I had it. And then I thought I would try it, because I did have IBS, and I thought I'm going to try it for a month. In fact, when I read this book about, you know, all this, you know, the eating the gluten-free, the dairy-free, the sugar-free, I thought, no way, absolutely no way. But I did the gluten-free for a month, and I felt so much better. And I had a pain in my knee, which was like a dull ache, which was, I don't know if it was like arthritic, rheumatic, and I used to kind of just be a bit tense, aches, pains. That was when I was 18, and so in my, how old was I? I was 27 when I had my son, and that was almost 25 years ago. And I found that the aches, the pains, everything stopped, and my digestion improved, everything improved. So that was obviously something I was meant to do. My soul was drawing me towards that, because, you know, I was meant to help other people and become a role model for kind of health and nutrition. And at 52 now, I feel better than I did probably since my late teens. So, you know, I don't know if that will inspire you or not, but again, if your soul's ready for something, then you will go for it. As Nike says, you will just do it. So I'm going to show you some things that I feel that are beneficial in nutrition. There are so many factors to health, but nutrition is a key factor, because, you know, we have to eat what we do eat every day. So I'm going to show you about fibre, especially soluble fibre, which helps to, it bulks up, it swells, and it goes through your digestion and your intestines, and it sweeps like a broom. So it's getting rid of the old. So for me, it's about getting rid of the old, clearing the old, and then allowing the new. It's creating, you know, the right environment for health. So I'm just going to show you, I don't know, this is actually some like chia seeds, which you can get from anywhere, such as even Aldi and supermarkets and health shops. And so I've got kind of just a heap spoon of chia seeds. I don't know if you can see in the bowl. And I'm just going to pour some water in. So I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to show you as soon as it thickens up. Because if anybody's used chia seeds and just sprinkle them on, that would not be ideal, because you'll see what happens. They actually kind of swell up and they go almost like mucilaginous, and they expand. So if you have them without soaking them first, it will take water from your body, and it can cause intestinal obstruction, so obstruction in the bowels, because it's like, oh my gosh, I need water to help it to swell. It's the same with kind of flax seeds. So I would say you can grind flax seeds, but I wouldn't have them whole. or you could soak them, or you can get these milled sprouted flax seeds, or you know, some kind of linseed flax seeds. But I would keep them in the fridge because they spoil quite easily. So, and then you could put them in your breakfast. I did come across something recently which I've tried this week, and that is this Fibre blend. This is Anderson's, and what it's got in is psyllium husk. So there's a powder and the whole seed, the whole husk, should I say. Apple pectin, which is fantastic for the gut, because the gut is key to your health. If you can get your gut right, then it will affect all of your health. So it's got apple pectin, and it's got some probiotic as well. And this, you need, like, I've put a little scoop in a bowl. I've only had it for a couple of times now, and I put half a cup of water, and it kind of swelled. It's like half your breakfast bowl. So I love that that product. This is kind of thickening up, but I'll wait till it's. Did you put? Is that raw chia seeds in a smoothie? I couldn't quite read that, but unless you leave it for a bit to swell up. And with anything, especially a smoothie or anything like that, you think you might be just drink it down, but don't. Actually chew it, because that's the one thing, your stomach doesn't have teeth. So if you can chew everything as much as possible, it just so helps the digestion of any foods, whatever you're eating. And when you do things more mindfully, and you enjoy your food, and you just kind of get to the sense of, actually, you know, this isn't right for me, or you will just, you know, not kind of maybe overeat, because you can be eating the healthiest foods, but, you know, they might not be good for you, because, you know, the way you're digesting them, you're stressed when you're eating them, you're not enjoying them. You've got to enjoy. So, and do all seeds need soaking? It depends. For the flaxseed, the ones that go mucilaginous, if you're having kind of like sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds, then it depends on your digestion, but you can activate them, which means soaking them in kind of like a sea salt overnight. And that makes them more digestible. And what I do is I rinse them and then I put them in the lowest, in an oven that's actually just slightly warmed. It's not even on a number, and it until they're crunchy. But you can buy them like that or have them like that, and that makes them easy to digest. But you don't have to do that. I sometimes I have like a protein powder, the pumpkin seed protein powder, something like that. I like that one in my breakfast. So I could have, like, you know, either a porridge or a grain such as quinoa or brown rice with the they've actually kind of thickened up now, so you can see that they're just kind of very slimy. So that's the consistency that is going to really help to kind of, you know, bulk. And then other things in your breakfast that you can put in. You can put cinnamon if you like it. If you're okay with fruit, sometimes fruit and a grain, people can't digest that well. So something like dates, you know, that's probably better than sugar because it's got fibre in it, if you're good with dates and if you like them. And if you're okay and you're not vegan and you put some raw honey in to sweeten it, you know, that's okay. But it's kind of like setting yourself up, you know, to feel full till your next meal. Ground seeds, yes, you can actually grind them, keep them in the fridge. Always keep them in the fridge. And what else was I going to say? Yes, so the grains that you've got, if you want to kind of avoid gluten, especially, you've got your quinoa, buckwheat, which aren't true grains, but they're used like grains. Then you've got the millet, which is very alkaline, so it's not just a bird seed, you can have it as a grain. And there's rice, like brown rice, it's brown basmati rice. You can get short grain, long grain, basmati. But again, these are good to be soaked. Buckwheat doesn't need soaking. Quinoa and millet if you soak them for about, say, 4 hours or up to 8 hours, and then rinse them, that helps them become more digestible. And if you have any kind of beans, rice is better kind of, you know, overnight or during the day longer. But any kind of beans and pulses. So, you know, when you think of the pulses and the beans, there's black beans, there's aduki beans, there's mung beans, there's butter beans, there's haricot beans, there's flageolet beans, there's navy beans, black-eyed beans. There's also kidney beans, but I don't recommend kidney beans unless you're blood type B, because they're not meant to be so digestible. And I found that, I don't know, I didn't find them so digestible, so I don't eat them. And then there's your legumes, of course, it's like chickpeas and lentils. You can get red lentils, green lentils, brown lentils, beluga lentils. So I always have, I'm not vegan, but I have some, you know, animal protein. I have some eggs sometimes, and I've gone on to duck eggs because they're meant to be more nourishing. They've got more nutrients in them. And also, they say if you are allergic to eggs or intolerant to eggs, then you're more likely to be okay with duck eggs. So, you know, if they're organic and free range. But I've got a local supplier at the shop I go to. Lots of vegetables, so fibre, you're looking at lots of fibre. However, I would say if you're not having this at the moment, then don't include too much all at once, because it's like anything, you know, too much of a change in your body, too much fibre, it might be too much for the digestion. So start very, very slowly. You know, start with kind of in one meal, just introduce a bit more. Maybe, you know, I say in breakfast, either the chia seeds, the flax seeds, or the psyllium husk, you know, that blend, which is all in one. And that's so great for the gut. I can send you details on that, and where to get it. And have a colour, you know, a colourful plate, because they say we eat with our eyes. So the vegetables, then it's like getting all your antioxidants and nutrients, and green leafy vegetables are great, a lot of minerals, and I'll talk about minerals in a minute. So to answer yes, I would definitely soak brown rice. It just helps it become more nutritious. Probiotics, it depends. Some people are better, but it depends on the state of your gut. And sometimes it's a waste, because what kind of ends up in your gut, because of the stomach acid and things like that, you're not getting kind of that much. I like spore-based, but you've got to be very careful with spore-based. Introduce them very slowly, and they do not damage in the heat. They are quite expensive, but there's some great research about them. So minerals, now that is a big one, because I'm going to just tell you, like something like magnesium, which is a key mineral. There's just to answer Omar, prebiotics. Yes, because they help to feed the probiotics. So you can get those in lots of food. Some food, I know, asparagus and chicory and things like that. But yeah, you can take kind of prebiotics, and that, I think that this is classed as a prebiotic in this fibre blend. So which is great. But magnesium, you know, there's 65 plus conditions that are caused by magnesium deficiency, and magnesium gets destroyed from stress, from fizzy drinks, from drinking kind of caffeine like coffee, things like that. And I'm just going to run through this list, and you might find you have one, or you know somebody that either gets acid reflux, adrenal fatigue, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, anxiety, panic attacks and depression, arthritis, asthma, blood clots, bowel diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome, cystitis, fatigue, headaches and migraines, heart disease and other heart issues, hypoglycemia, indigestion, inflammation, insomnia, kidney stones and other kidney issues, muscle cramps and spasms, difficulty swallowing, burning pain, muscle weakness, numbness, twitching, vertigo, PMS, osteoporosis, and tooth decay. One of the things it does, it strengthens the teeth and the enamel. You can tell when you actually take magnesium that you can just feel the enamel on your teeth is stronger. Your skin feels softer, things like that. But I wouldn't recommend just taking like digesting magnesium, because firstly, it goes through the digestion. It can cause kind of digestive discomfort, and you know, people's digestion isn't that great. So, and there's lots of different types. Now, I would start personally with something like an electrolyte. And I just ordered this big bottle before, because I've got a smaller bottle. I had like it was in a, I don't know if I've got it here. It was that one. It's exactly the same, but they make it for Viridian, this company, Elite. I met them at a health exhibition many years ago. It's over like 15 years ago maybe. And I remember thinking, oh, you know, that's good if you have sport or you're hot or whatever. But actually, it's good for every day, not just for summer, for life. And that contains your key electrolytes: magnesium, chloride, potassium, and sodium. But the way it has been, I'll just tell you about it, kind of derived from, is from solar evaporation, from a mineral-rich water from the Great Salt Lake. And it's 10 times denser than seawater. And it really differs from kind of table salt, the sodium in table salt. In fact, I was going to show you this as well, but I'll show you this in a minute. This is called a 40 salt, and that's got a third, I think it's something like a third less sodium than actual salt. Great if you've got kind of high blood pressure, but any kind of issues, because sodium is the contractor. When you think of sodium, your body contracts with this pain. And the magnesium and potassium is the relaxant. So magnesium actually, when it's in the kind of the muscle, that's the relaxant. Whereas if there's not enough magnesium and there's calcium in the muscle, then it contracts. So sodium and calcium can contract, but magnesium and potassium, they relax. So you kind of, your mood, your energy, but you'll be able to sleep better and things like that, you know, with the right kind of minerals like magnesium and potassium. So I think the electrolytes is a great place to start. If you are magnesium deficient, let me just find this other, then there's something called this CMD. There's another. This is in a glass bottle, but there's in a plastic one, it just says CMD, and that's got more magnesium, so that you could go on to once you start introducing the electrolytes, but I would do it slowly. The way you would know if you have too much magnesium is kind of like you just get loose stools, diarrhea. You think, right, that's too much, step it back. And if you had the electrolytes and you had any kind of cramping type pains, like you know, you get cramps or something like that in your legs, and you took, say, a capful every day and you still didn't benefit, they've said that there was a man that actually had to take 6 caps of it, capfuls of it a day, and that's when he noticed he was okay. And then you start lowering it again, because you just kept to the point of kind of saturating your body, and then it doesn't need so much. But salt wise, there's that I use in cooking as well, this herbamare, which has got, it's a sea salt, pure sea salt infused with organic herbs and vegetables, and that really brings things to life. Much better than the stock cube, much healthier. But this one I was going to show you, this 40 salt, as I said, it's got a third less salt. It's like having a mineral supplement, and you can just, like, you know, put it in your cooking. And it's one of the good things that if you are eating your dinner and you're thinking, oh, actually just needs a bit of salt, because that's one thing, if things aren't salty enough or sweet enough, it's, you know, and they're bland, you're not going to enjoy them. So, you know, just adding some of that salt afterwards, it's a great thing to do rather than kind of adding like table salt or salt granules. That's like the liquid. Something else. Oh, and also there's the magnesium flakes. So you can have that as a body salt, a bath salt, sorry, or a foot soak. So I think I showed you this on another video. I've got this. You can just use a kitchen washing up bowl, preferably not one you use regularly, but you can just get one. And I've got this like inflatable foot bath. And actually last night I did it outside. I soaked my feet, because soaking your feet before bed, it's just so good for you and so relaxing. So with some magnesium flakes in as well, is great. So that's ways to get your magnesium. And was there anything else that someone wanted alternatives for before I kind of wrap up? I can't believe how quick the time goes. Flies by. If you think of anything, let me know. Another thing, I've got this Vitality, which is it's a phytoplankton, a marine phytoplankton. I've not got the packet with me, but that, if you're looking for kind of a supplement, I'm not going to talk about supplements in this session. It's just more about food, but this is like food based. So if someone's vegan, especially because it's high in omega-3, which is very unusual, because normally everything's more omega-6 based. So this has got it's like a plant-based, apparently it's a plant-based source of vitamin B12. I don't know how much you would absorb of it, and it's got a lot of kind of minerals, antioxidants, and it's like having a kind of whole food multivitamin with kind of, you know, your omega-3 in it. It's sustainable, it's pure, and it supports gut health, aids mental clarity and alertness, boosts energy, aids recovery, good for the immune system. You can get it in powder and capsule form, and that to me I think is probably one of the best kind of supplements. Talking of omega-3 is I make my own milk. Actually, I blend shelled hemp seeds with some dates, sometimes a bit of raw honey, and it's almost like yogurty if you don't add as much water, or if you add more water it's more kind of milky. But that's on my breakfast.
And takes it to make milk.
So with somebody on not on mute there. So you can see now how kind of this chia seeds very kind of thick. You collagenous have gone. I think that's about it. But what I want to ask you now is, you know, whether you're here this evening or on kind of watch on the YouTube link, is what is the one thing that you can take from this session that you're going to introduce? Because as I say, it's not you, it's not your mind that thinks, yes, I'll do this. If you're saying I should do this, then you're not quite ready. You'll know when you're ready for something, because you'll just do it. And whether it's going to be easy or difficult to do or challenging, you will do it, and you won't even think about it. If you know you're not ready to do it, because you just won't do it, even though you think, I really want to do this. So it's not about that. It's about, I say, let your soul take control. I've got more information in my book, Food Awakening Nutrition for Now, and recipes and all things about health. So if you did want a copy, it's on Amazon, although I've not, it's an updated copy that I've done, and I've not sent the updated thing to Amazon yet. It's $11.99 on Amazon, and I can send it out for $10.99 signed. So you can always let me know if you wanted a copy of that. But if you've got any questions before we finish, before we wrap up, because I could talk for days on end about this. As you can tell, I'm so passionate about it, and I would just say, just notice when something doesn't feel right for you, and when you're actually ready for that change, and just thinking, what can I introduce instead of this? So yeah, just want to hear from everybody. Is the one thing that you can take away from tonight and say, oh, what's the one step? Because if you take too much and get overwhelmed and stressed, that's not going to work. So just take one thing for now.
Shall I start?
Yeah.
Hi, it's
Sure.
Louise.
Hi. Hello. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, I think what I want to take away is doing things differently. So soaking the seeds, looking for the alternatives.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few things I want to do. And I used to have the magnesium. I've still got it, the oil, but not been really using it. So I think it's about just thinking about what you've said and starting to introduce certain things. But yeah, it's a mind shift, and I'm ready for this. But it is literally shifting your mind rather than thinking, oh, it's, you know, it feels too much. It's like, no, actually I can do this. You know, I'm wanting to do it.
Absolutely. Well, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have something you're ready for. And sometimes you think it's your mind, but it's not. It's your soul that's drawing you towards it. So
yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I get you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
You're welcome, Louise. Thank you. Anybody else wanted to ask anything?
Yes. Yeah, the idea of soaking the seeds, which I haven't done. How long do you need to do that for? I mean, if you're doing it for breakfast, you don't want to be too long soaking them. But you have to
So wait, what kind of seeds? If it's the chia seeds.
Chia, say, yeah. I've been putting just sprinkled chia on my breakfast. I haven't thought about trying to.
If it's something like chia or psyllium husk or flaxseed, about 15 minutes is enough. So if you get up and you just soak it, I mean, you know, while you're kind of getting ready, you can actually do it overnight and just kind of keep it in the fridge.
Put it in the fridge, yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
And then the ground seeds, I didn't realise I had to put them in the fridge, so that's a bit of a.
The what seeds?
The grind up the seeds. I've been grinding up the various seeds and putting them
in the fridge. Yeah, it can go rancid. So definitely in the summer. So definitely put them in the fridge.
And I like the idea of the magnesium in a foot bath. I have a bidet, so I could put my feet.
Nice, absolutely,
that
absolutely.
Sounds nice,
yes, yeah, and even just soaking your feet at night is so good for you. It's like having a bath, and
yes, I like that idea. It all sounds good, and I like the idea of being able to kind of go with your instinct. So I believe in that, and so that's really kind of gives you reinforces one's power, I guess, and that we know what we need.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just one step at a time, and you know, each time you'll be ready to do something else.
Yes, and also with the brown rice, I don't think, because it takes a long time to cook, but obviously if you soak them first, then presumably
it makes it more digestible as well.
Yeah, because otherwise they're quite gritty and everything, so it doesn't really appeal to us. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah. Welcome. Anybody else? Steve, has anybody else asked questions in the chat or?
I think all the ladies are covering them. Is sea salt okay? Is it good to take a
sea salt,
supplements? But would you recommend water greens? Yeah.
Would I recommend what greens?
Water greens.
Oh, water and grains.
Water greens.
Like kefir. Again, let me think. If it's right, I'd introduce slowly, but if someone's got gut issues, anything that's been fermented, it can be great for some people and not for others. So you'd kind of know if you've got kind of a lot of, you know, it's the bad bacteria. So what the fibre is doing is feeding the good, you know, well, they call it the microbes, the microbiome, they call it more in America. You know, the good bacteria and there's bad bacteria. So you're feeding the good bacteria, you know, with kind of fibre, things like that, and fermented. But if you've got a lot of bad bacteria, it's because it's like it's getting rid of the old. It's like trying to kind of plant things in your garden with loads of weeds, or, you know, clear stuff when you've got so much clutter. It's quite hard work. So your body's going to really react if you have fermented products, which when you've got lots of bad bacteria. So it's doing it either very slowly, and it's just making changes and clearing out the old first. Matcha, again, it depends. Green tea has still got caffeine. The green tea I like is this one, the TikTok Rooibos, got no caffeine. That's it's a rhubarb green tea, so it's never had caffeine in that. So I like that one as a green tea. But I could talk for weeks on end about this. And I would say simple changes create magical results, which I did. You know, one simple change, and you don't know where it can lead to. It's just, you know, taking things step by step. So I will put some information. I will send some information out, some of the things I was talking about. And if you're watching this on YouTube, then I'll put some information in the comments. And if you're watching this on YouTube, or if anybody wants to kind of find, you know, like new videos I do, you know, if you subscribe, and I'd be so grateful if you could kind of make any comments or likes or anything like that. And I'll answer any comments on there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Please give Julie a massive round of applause. Thank you very much, Julie. And I will stop the recording.